How persuasion smart are you? Well, today you're going to find out in the next 45 minutes, thanks to our expert, Michelle Bowden. And what a way to kick off the Fitness Business Breakfast webinar series. Welcome to people all over the world, who might be sitting down with their Weet-Bix or their cup of coffee, or if you're in the UK, getting ready to go to bed, or if you're in the US, happy hour. No matter where you are, this next 1 hour is going to be insightful, powerful, and educational. And I'm really excited that we can bring this to you thanks to REX Roundtables. And we're going to be delivering these free webinars on the third Thursday or Wednesday, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, of every month. At REX Roundtables, we aim to improve the performance of your business and the quality of your life. We currently have REX Roundtables you can join in Australia, the US, and Europe. So if you're interested in finding out any more, just drop me a note in the comments below, or however you're watching this, you can call me, send me an email, send me a smoke signal, or even have a homing pigeon fly by my home and drop off a message. Quite seriously, go to rexroundtables.com and you can see everything we do. And if you're wondering, does REX Roundtables actually work? Here's what Lachlan Crichton from Anytime Fitness said, who's one of our amazing members. REX has and continues to ensure I'm ahead of my competition. Since joining the REX Roundtables, I've grown from having one gym barely breaking even to 3 clubs that are all profitable and successful. I continue to rely on the network I've developed with the REX Roundtable to call between meetings and to help understand how other owners are running their clubs and how I can incorporate this into my facilities. Lachlan, your $20 is in the mail. What a great testimonial. So if you're interested in finding out more, please reach out. We'd be happy to help you lift and improve your business. And that is exactly why we're doing the webinars, these free webinars, to get you better at what you do. Now, one feature of REX Roundtables is that we have incredible preferred suppliers that ensure our REX members receive the very best service and innovation opportunities. And today, I'm excited to introduce, particularly to the Australian market, PJ from Uscreen. Now, I shouldn't take PJ's thunder. Suffice to say, even though he's in the US, he can still help every Aussie watching today. PJ, welcome and tell us about Uscreen.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Justin. I'm happy to be here. My name is PJ. I'm located in the United States. I actually grew up in Maryland. My company, Uscreen, helps over 1,500 businesses to stream and sell videos online. And that is actually quite a few Aussies are in there too. So I'm excited to show you. This is our website. And ultimately what we do is we're an all-in-one platform to stream and deliver your content on all platforms. We help you launch a full streaming service. If you look at our examples page here, we have a lot of yoga and a lot of health and fitness. A lot of the brands you're already familiar with. Let me actually show you some Aussies. Modern Movement here is an Australian fitness customer. This is the website you can fully build and customize on Uscreen out of the box, and you upload your videos and your images and you're good to go. And you can customize this beautiful website, build a streaming service. You can sell your content for free if you have members in studio or in a gym. Can add them to this service, or you can sell this as an additional cost as a one-time sale or a recurring subscription. You also then get this beautiful on-demand as well as live streaming catalog on the platform. And then you can filter by duration, level, body part. So you can fully build out your workout programs on this platform. The website builder comes out of the box. You can also get your own mobile, Apple TV app, your Roku app, your Amazon Fire, and I'm going to show you that. Here is another customer that's built on the platform. All right, and she has all her programs and all our content here that you can fully enjoy and fully organize. Here's Tint Yoga. They have all their live streams. Look, I can click Office Yoga. I have a countdown. Countdown ends, it goes live. There's a live chat, and it's a beautiful experience. You can set up, you can even do teacher training and online courses. Let me show you their academies. Tint Yoga here has Essential Training course, and look at all the content they've organized on the right-hand side here, workout lectures. So it's a very versatile program to organize your content. This complete experience goes on your own app in the App Store for mobile, iOS and Android. So you can get your own app in the App Store, and it has the same beautiful experience. We do the same thing on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. So if I Google Sarah Beth Yoga iOS app, I then find her app in the App Store. I can download those apps, and we do all the work to publish those apps. The platform is all in one. We host all the videos. You can do on-demand live streaming. You have a complete website builder, and you have all your user management. You can manage subscriptions, all that good stuff here. And we have all these built-in marketing tools. We offer 24/7 support. We fully help you get onboarded. The platform is all in one. All you need to do is either bring your audience and your users and convert them, add them manually, and of course, you need to bring your videos and assets. So I'm happy to help anyone out. If you have any questions, you can email me directly, pj@uscreen.tv, and our website is uscreen.tv. Thank you, everybody.
PJ, thank you for supporting REX Roundtables. And also, as a little insight for everybody out there, PJ is also our streaming partner for the Fitness Industry Technology Summit as well. So you'll be able to see some of those webinars using the Uscreen platform on fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. Thanks, PJ, for all of your support and allowing us to have Michelle today. So please indulge me. Please let me introduce Michelle Bowden. Now, Michelle is an authority on presentation and persuasion in business. Michelle is a CSP, which is the highest designation for speakers in the world. She's the creator of the Persuasion Smart Profile, which is a world-first psychometric indicator that reports on your persuasiveness at work. She's a best-selling international published author with Wiley, and she's a regular commentator in print, on radio, and online media. Not that anybody would see her on online media because Facebook aren't being friendly with us in Australia anymore. Michelle is my personal go-to person when I'm preparing a keynote. She's my personal speaking coach, my little guru that I turn to for advice and wisdom whenever I've got to deliver a presentation. And she can be yours too. So just make sure you check out michellebowden.com.au. Michelle, welcome. And thank you for launching our webinar series.
Thank you so much for having me today, JT. What a pleasure to see you. You're looking great. And what about PJ? He blew my bananas. PJ's amazing.
He talked about some stuff that you and I were probably like going, what the heck?
What about that? And what a platform. Fantastic.
Now, in your bio, I mentioned the Persuasion Smart Profile.
Yes.
Am I right in saying like today is a very important day in the Persuasion Smart Profile life cycle?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Today is the launch. So you're amazing people, you're amazing connections. Hello, everybody. You are all the first to hear about this groundbreaking psychological assessment that assesses your persuasive strengths and weaknesses. And that's really what today's webinar is all about, persuasion and how you can learn more about yourself and be more persuasive yourself so that you get the results you're looking for in your life.
Now, I know you very well. I know you'll be very prepared. You'll have some slides that you're going to share, I'm sure.
Yes.
But I also know that you sometimes like people to pose questions rather than necessarily you lecture. So
Yes,
I've got
please.
some questions that I'm going to ask. So can I start by, whether if you want to show, your slides now, we can set them up.
Yeah.
But I guess the
do that.
first question I want to ask is, what does it actually mean to be persuasion smart? Like, what's that definition look like?
Can you see my slides, JT?
Sure can, and we can see you as well.
Oh, it's like it's all working, everyone. Isn't that so exciting?
Cool.
Before I start, JT, do you know that it's exactly 3 years since we had a coffee together in Lane Cove? It came up on my Facebook memories today.
No way.
Oh, what a lovely thing. Now, yes, persuasion smart. So what does it mean to be persuasion smart? My husband, Ian, was diagnosed with cancer on his lip 2 years ago now. And it was all very dramatic. There was a lot of time pressures around this. He was in the doctor's surgery. The doctor was clearly stressed and under pressure. She insisted on booking him into the dermatologist while he was sitting in the room with her. She said, you've got to get going. You've got to do something about this right now. Within a day, he was sitting in the dermatologist's rooms getting the explanation about what needed to happen. And then literally 2 days after that, I was driving Ian in the car to his operation to get this thing taken off his lip. It was all very traumatic and quick. So there wasn't a lot of time to make really useful decisions. Now, we walked in, as we were driving to the dermatologist, Ian completely lost his mind. He lost all ability to function. He couldn't speak, he couldn't think. He was so stressed. And JT, you have seen my 3 beautiful daughters. You would know that I couldn't have such good looking kids unless I'd married someone very handsome.
Oh, and this is being recorded too.
So Ian was really terrified that the surgeon was going to cut his lip open, his whole face would fall apart, and he'd end up looking like Voldemort for the rest of his life. And Voldemort was not in either of our futures. None of our plans. So as we were driving there and Ian started to become very stressed, I realized I had to probably get involved. I needed to turn up to the dermatologist's rooms. I probably needed to double check if this was the right thing for us to be doing today. All experts are not created equal. And when we're making a decision, we're often asking ourselves, is this the right expert for me? And this is certainly true of the fitness industry. Is this the right expert for me? Is this the right personal trainer for me? Is this the right person that can help me with my needs? So when we walked into the surgery, you should have seen it. The interior design of this place was unbelievable. It was so highly specced. It was very fancy. The ladies behind the desk were sophisticated in every way, and their customer service was flawless. The surgeon himself, the dermatologist, he was absolutely gorgeous. Everything presented impeccably. His beautiful articulation in the way he explained what he needed to do. He sensed that Ian in that moment was feeling very traumatized. And so he set to building a deep emotional connection with Ian and allaying his fears as quickly as he could. He also built a strong rapport with me because he could see I was probably going to be the one that made the decision. And so he built rapport with me, asked me about my private life and whether I was going ocean swimming at the moment and all sorts of things like that to try and build a connection with me. And then he drew a diagram on a piece of paper to explain what he was going to do to help Ian. And in the drawing of this diagram, it became very clear to me, had the certificates all around the walls. He was clearly an expert and indeed a very experienced authority in the matter. And I turned to Ian after the drawing had been completed and the surgeon had explained what he was going to do. And I said to my husband, this guy is like the conductor of a symphony orchestra. Everything is going to be okay. We can proceed today. You don't need to wait a month to go and see a plastic surgeon because, of course, that was our choice. You either hurry up and get this done today by a dermatologist, or in a month's time, or maybe even 2 months' time, you go to a plastic surgeon who specializes in the face, right there in the front of his face. So I said, this guy is amazing, and I am left with no concerns about this. You are in very safe hands. And so we proceeded. And sure enough, 2 years later, you can barely see the scar and Ian is well and thriving. So we are all influenced in different ways, is the point.
Oh, is he still good looking? Is Ian still good looking?
And he's still as handsome as ever.
Okay.
Lucky me, I get to see him every day. So this is the point, that we're all influenced in different ways. And what that dermatologist did, without probably even knowing truthfully what are the elements of persuasion, I highly doubt that he's researched that. What he has done is he has done everything in his power to make sure that he persuaded both Ian and I to take the action that he felt was in our best interest, which is get that thing off his lips so that Ian could be well and thrive. He didn't want Ian to wait for a month. He was concerned about that, but he did appreciate the need to make the decision, and he gave us every freedom in that choice. So that is really the definition of persuasion, where there is a freedom of decision in the decision maker's, power. So yes, if I was to say to you, I'm going to keep clicking. There are four steps to becoming persuasive, and I think step one is know yourself. And that's why today launching the Persuasion Smart Profile is so exciting for us all, because this is a psychometric assessment that assesses your persuasive strengths and weaknesses. It's online. It's a 15-minute psychometric assessment tool, and 15-20 minutes, and you answer it as your work self, and then it graphically represents on the screen with a very detailed PDF report all of your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to persuasion. So you do have to know yourself first, I think. The second step is know others. So if you understand in the Persuasion Smart Profile, if you understand what indeed are those the four approaches, and you can elicit it in the people that you're talking to, then you'll be better placed to be persuasive in the moment. If you understand others, I think that's really an important step. And then step three is something that fitness instructors will, and fitness people will really relate to. You've got to build your muscle. You've got to build your persuasive muscle. There are four approaches, which we'll talk about in a sec, but you've got to develop your strength across all four approaches if you want to extend your persuasive reach and be consistently persuasive across all four types and in all situations. And then step four is exactly that: adapt your approach so that you can meet the needs of others. So to be persuasion smart is to have a deep understanding of what is required by people in order for them to be persuaded by you, and then simply to adapt your approach so that you communicate in a way that satisfies that need. That's what it is to be persuasion smart.
Can I ask you two questions?
Yes, please.
First one is, when someone does the psychometric assessment, is it confronting for them?
Well, you answer as your work self, and what you put in is what you get out. So I don't think it will be confronting. I think some people might be slightly surprised at the impact or the implications of what it means to be weak in some areas. And I think if anything, it'll probably give people awareness. As you know, when you go to persuade someone, some people are just so easy to persuade. Some people, you're almost, without meaning to be disrespectful, are almost like a pushover. It's just easy. And in fact, you might not even realize it was a persuasion moment, because you just talked, they listened, they said yes, you went on with your life. It didn't even feel like a persuasion moment. And then there are other times when you have to persuade someone to give you something you need or do something you want, and everyone around you tells you it's a really great idea, but the person you have to persuade simply cannot hear it. They can't understand why you're asking them to do this, or why they should approve it or endorse it. They just can't get it. It feels sometimes like you're just banging your head against a brick wall. What is wrong with this person? Why don't they understand how important this is? They just don't hear it. So I think when you do in fact assess yourself, you'll and you read all about, it's very detailed, the explanations of the four approaches. So you'll read that and you'll think to yourself, yeah, you know, Fluffy that I have to persuade on a regular basis, that's why that's happening to me. That's why I'm not successful. And now this is what I've got to do about it.
And that happens a lot in our industry, particularly for our membership consultants that are trying to get people to buy a membership or take on personal training or something like that.
Indeed.
We know how great exercise is, and we can't understand why they can't see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My second question and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way at all, but I wonder if some people are sitting here thinking at this point, okay, what's the difference between persuasion and manipulation?
Yeah. Yeah, I get asked that all the time. So persuasion is where there's a measure of freedom in the decision-making process of the stakeholder. So you didn't force, direct, manipulate the person into doing something that they didn't really want to do. They feel that there was a measure of freedom in their decision-making process. Now, it's because you have decided that given your system of values and your ethics, that this is something in that person's best interest. So to use your example, you know exercise is good for people. You don't understand why people wouldn't want to exercise more. And if they're going to do that, they need a personal trainer or a gym to do that. So it's a no-brainer to you. If the person really didn't want to exercise, if they hated exercise, and you were trying to force them into joining a gym, then that really is manipulation. There is no freedom in that decision-making process. The person will feel forced and manipulated into making that decision and coerced into it. It probably leaves the membership consultant with the yucky feeling that night when they lie down in their bed at night. They probably don't feel that good about themselves that they convinced that person into it, because they could pretty much sense that that was not what the person really needed. And the person themselves is probably going to suffer from some sort of buyer's remorse. They're going to want to pull out, or they've signed up, but maybe they don't turn up to the gym, or they're late to their sessions, or they turn up, but they're half-hearted in their approach at the gym. So yeah, that's what I would call manipulation. There's no freedom in the decision-making process. They're kind of forced into it. So you have to use your own sort of ethical compass here when it comes to persuasion and manipulation. The thing that it's a great question, JT. I've spent 20 years thinking about that question. What's the difference between persuasion and manipulation? And I would just add probably two more things. There's a great quote from Carl Jung, and it kind of relates to manipulation and persuasion, and it also relates to why even bother. Why not just be yourself and just talk the way you talk? And some people will and some people won't, and who cares? Why even bother? So Carl Jung had this beautiful quote that says, unless you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. It's such a great quote. Unless you put in the effort, unless you put your best foot forward and strive to do the right thing by the people around you, life's just going to turn out how it turns out. You'll fluke it or not, and you'll just call that fate or karma. In my world, we don't worry about fate and karma. We're putting out every effort we can into achieving the goals that we are setting for ourselves, and we're not leaving it to chance or to fate. You cannot not influence. We are always influencing, even when you don't mean to. The way we dress, the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we move, the way we everything we do, we're influencing. So if we're going to be influencing anyway, why not put our best foot forward in the most ethical way, make sure we're meeting the needs of our stakeholder and achieving what we want in our life as a successful person?
I love that definition, and I love that thought process around influence. So what's our next step?
Yeah, so this says, this is our next slide. Why do fitness people need Persuasion Smart? I mean, you are persuading, no matter what role you play in the fitness industry, you are persuading all day. We persuade to get customers and business. We persuade to manage our amazing stakeholders, people like PJ. We persuade when we're talking to our customers to try and, if you're a personal trainer, to try and convince the person to lift a certain weight or do it a certain way or follow a certain technique. All the time we are persuading. So why do we need it? Well, because we don't want to just leave it to fate. We want to make sure that we achieve everything we can in our life.
I love that. What's that other quote? Hope is not a strategy. So
yeah, hope is not a strategy. Good on you. Hope, by all means hope, but then would you set a goal and would you please achieve it?
Not going to work.
So look, here we go. Here are the 4 persuasive types. So we firstly have the expert, and that's Stephen Hawking, if you didn't know. Then we have the authority, and that's Norman Swan. If you're not watching the ABC, you might not know that he's the COVID expert. on the ABC, and this guy is something and a half. This guy is such a great communicator. He's wonderful to watch. Then we have the connector. And we also have building rapport and the performer. So JT, we've come up with a bird type for each of these 4 persuasive types to help people in an easy way to identify it in themselves and also identify it in their stakeholders. Each of these birds demonstrates beautifully the characteristics of each of the types. So I don't know, can we do a guessing game? Can we see if you think you
First
can?
First of all, I'm assuming that when you say bird, it is a colloquial term in Australia that may in fact imply a female, but I'm guessing you're meaning the feathered type.
The feathered friend, that's right.
Okay, so I'm going to go the expert.
So this person has an innate drive to use their superior intellect to persuade. So message credibility is very important for them. They are wise. They are subject matter experts. They communicate well-founded, well-prepared arguments. So can you think which bird might be the wise bird that is a subject matter expert?
I was going to go the eagle because eagle expert, but now when you mention wise, I'd have to say the owl.
Okay, so here we go. The owl. 10 out of 10. Okay, so now let's go to the authority, which is Norman Swan.
Okay.
So the authority is someone who is personally credible. They own the room. These people leave you with no confusion around the fact that they have done this before. You can trust them. They own the room. Can you guess?
Oh.
You might have mentioned it already.
I'm thinking the eagle again.
Oh, I was going to tell you a funny story about owls, but look, there you go. That's an owl at
Isn't
the
that
Friday night
incredible?
drinks.
You can't even see it.
Yeah, at the Friday night drinks.
Wow.
So the owls are the quiet achievers. They're the ones, did you know that when an owl flies, its flight is silent? And just like in the workplace, you know, they go through the workplace quietly. They don't disrupt people. They don't cause conflict. They just go about their daily tasks and just get the job done quietly. It's the perfect example is the owl. So yes, you're right. The eagle is the next one. Do you know when eagles mate? This is an example of eagles mating. They literally take up the sky. They mate in the air and they free fall out of the sky while they're in the act of making love. They twist, they tumble, they spin. It's just such a great example of what eagles do in the workplace. They take up the space, they own the room. You would all know of like a group fitness instructor that falls into that category who they just own the space when they're up there on the stage with their little microphone telling everybody what to do.
Wow, I never knew that about eagles.
Yeah. The connector. So this is the person who persuades through creating a deep personal connection with you. Rapport is really important to them. They ask questions to get to know you. They use direct connected eye contact. They want to be your friend, and they believe that if they show that they care about you, then you will be persuaded by them. Can you guess what little pet that might be?
I was thinking pet, I'm thinking like a budgerigard or...
Yes, 10 out of 10, you're smashing it. Yeah, so I'll tell you a funny story about budgies. Up until 2012, scientists thought that there were 3 other species other than humans that engaged in contagious yawning. Do you know when you see your friend yawning and you yawn too? That's called contagious yawning. And then in 2000, I should ask you, have a guess. What do you think were the 3 species other than humans that have contagious yawning?
Well, I'm going to go budgies.
So it is going to be budgies in the end, but the 3 species up until 2012, monkeys.
Right.
Dogs.
Dogs.
Dogs see each other yawning and they yawn. That's hilarious, isn't it? So now when you're down at the dog park, you'll have to have a look.
I'm going to look.
And lab rats. So that was the three. That was the three species. But then in 2012, they actually noticed that budgies also experience contagious yawning, but different to the others. They're not just mimicking the yawning. So when a rat sees another rat yawn, they're not feeling a connection with the other rat. They just notice the yawn and they copy the behavior. Right. Whereas scientists have actually proved that the budgie has such a deep emotional connection with the other budgies that they yawn in response to the yawn, because that's like they're one entity. Isn't that so fascinating? Yeah. They are the heavy hitters of rapport, budgies.
Are they really? Wow.
For sure. Okay, so now we have the performer. So the performer is, and I've given you Obama for a reason, it should help you. They seek to persuade through charisma and charm. They're captivating, they're fabulous. You can't look away, you know, that you get swept up in the enthusiasm of this person. Can you think which bird is flashy like that and makes you just sweep up in its fabulousness?
Well, I'm kind of thinking like a peacock or
yes, there you go, the peacock. So you can see what I mean about how easy it is to identify the birds. They so beautifully connect with each of these types. And so I'm going to share a quick story with you about peacocks. When they're in their mating season, peacocks have been known to seek out shiny objects like bits of mirror or hubcaps, because you might have thought that when peacocks are mating, it's the peahen that it's the peacock that makes the choice, but it's actually the peahen, the female, that makes the decision. In the peacock world, the peacock is the fabulous one with all the beautiful coloured feathers, and the poor old peahens are an ugly sort of a brown bird. It's just not very attractive at all. But the peahen is the boss. The peahen makes the choice. So peacocks are driven to find these shiny surfaces so that they can be constantly checking themselves out and making sure that they're putting their best foot forward, because they have to do everything they can in their power to persuade the peahen to choose them. And when they're doing a mating dance, what they do is they don't just flip out their fabulous feathers, which I'm sure you've all seen. What they do is they put everything into it. They're dancing, they're strutting, they're shimmying their shoulders. They do everything they can to put on the best possible persuasive display so that the peahen will choose them. And the hilarious thing that scientists have found is that when they're in the actual act of mating, peacocks make this really terrible noise. And the smart ones have worked it out that if they just go around making this really terrible noise all the time, then the peahens will think to themselves, oh, that guy's a stud. He's doing it all the time. He's making the noise all the time. I better choose him. He's the one for me. And so we all know someone in the fitness industry like that.
I'm greatly concerned that of two of these birds, you kind of link them back to mating.
Well, actually, birds don't do a lot in their days. So that's about the only behavior we can look to. They sit on the branch and do nothing, sleep.
But I guess, you know, what you're talking about today, Persuasion Smart, is not just about work. Understanding persuasion is important in building relationships and strengthening relationships with husbands, wives, girlfriends, partners.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the Persuasion Smart profile is actually a work-related tool. So you need to, when you answer it, if you decide you'd like to assess yourself, then you need to answer as your work self, or otherwise what will happen is the results will be all skew-if and they won't reflect accurately. You need to think of yourself in a particular light. I was actually having coffee just this week with one of my great friends, Matt Brady, who works for the Parramatta Eels, which is a football club in Sydney. And Matt's also a personal trainer, and he also has another business on the side. He has 3 jobs. So, and then he's also a speaker, a motivational speaker and an author. So he has 4 kind of hats that he wears. And it was interesting we had a long conversation about this because he's assessed himself. And you have to think of, really, I think it's wise to think about it in terms of one of the jobs that you do. Because, for example, if I'm out selling all day, I'm going to come out stronger probably as a budgie, because I need to build rapport if I'm selling. If I've been out speaking all day, I'm going to come out stronger on the peacock, because the whole performance of the peacock is what's required as a keynote speaker. So you'll slightly skew your results based on the way that you're thinking about what you do in a day. Yeah, pretty important to do that.
All right, so what do we got here?
Okay, so I was just going to show you some of the characteristics, because I think people might really be able to relate to this. And if this doesn't sound like you, then it probably sounds like someone you know, and perhaps it's a really important stakeholder that you're trying to influence all the time. And these are the words you'd use to describe an owl. Words like wise and logical and analytical. I wish I could find a photograph of an owl with a cardigan that's got those, those patches on the elbows. That would be really perfect. And then we've also got the eagle. So the eagle, these sorts of words, commanding and self-assured and confident. They're very respected in the workplace. They're the authority. So people go to them. They know that this person can take over in a crisis situation. They would easily be able to manage trauma. The budgie, as you know, generous, disarming, friendly, those kind of words. They're interested in people. They're diplomatic. They're probably conflict avoiders. They're easy to get along with in the workplace. And then there's the peacock, these sorts of words, enthusiastic and infectious and captivating, those kind of more flashy words, charming. Yeah. So I think you wanted to ask me also, how do we even come up with this? So I created this psych tool. We've been researching this since 2012. It's been a long time in the making. And essentially what we know is that there are 4 main questions that people are really asking when deciding if they want to be persuaded by you. Things that people need to know about if they're going to say yes to you. So the first question, we call them these things persuasion qualifiers. They're questions that people are asking that they might not actually even know that they're asking. So the first one is, how strong are the arguments? Are they backed by fact and evidence? Lots of people care about that. You might not, but there are other people who do. So
they were the certificates in the dermatologist's surgery that you went into.
Yes. And also, for example, if we had have asked a question like, what are the odds in this operation? Like, how likely is the cancer to be fully removed? What are the statistics for survival? What is the data on, this particular method of stitching on the lip?
Yeah.
What is the pros and cons of using a plastic surgery versus a dermatologist to do this operation? And if the person can use a well-formed, robust argument with data and facts, verifiable facts to back that up, then you would absolutely proceed, because that's what you care about. You need it to be backed up by facts and data. So they care about research. In a fitness industry, these are the people who care about the data on weight loss or metabolic rates or visceral fat percentages and that kind of stuff. They want to know the details, muscle growth, that kind of thing. Then the next question people are asking is, how credible is this messenger? Are they a subject matter expert? So in the surgery, the dermatologist left us with no confusion about whether he was an expert. He'd done this operation many times before on all sorts of people. He just oozed credibility in every way. So this is about personal credibility. The person you're talking to looks, in the fitness industry, they look fit. They look like they can concentrate. They look clear-headed. They look, if you're wanting to build muscle, they look muscly. If you want to be lean, they look lean. They dressed well. They just look like they know what they're doing in this space.
So that's a really important message, I think, Michelle, for me, is just how important how we wear our uniform.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the authority and also the performer. care about that. So the performers of the peacock,
Yeah.
and they would look at someone that looked like a dog's breakfast and think to themselves, "Oh, that person's a mess. That they are not credible." If they care about you being an authority, the way you dress and you look shabby, the way you dress is going to affect that. If they care about you being captivating and passionate and confident, then again, the way you dress is going to impact on that. So it just depends on your own profile and what you care about as to how much you would care about that. So I'm a budgie, and when the people at the gym say, "Hello, Michelle," I love that. Someone who's an owl hates that. They don't need you to say hello to them. They'd rather slink in and just go and do their workout and leave. But you could help an owl by sending them an article through the app that PJ just described, and give them some data on weight loss or fat loss or muscle growth or something like that. You could help them in that way. Owl doesn't care whether you say hello to them or not. Got it. Okay. How good is our rapport? Does this person care about me? So that's one of the other sets of questions. So some people, there's a great saying, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that comes from Stephen Covey. And that's absolutely what this person cares about. They don't worry about whether you're an expert yourself. They just want to know if you care about their needs, and will put their needs ahead. Okay. Oops. And then the last one is, how convincing is this person? So this is the peacock. How convincing is this messenger? Are they passionate? Are they confident? Am I excited by their ideas? Am I getting swept up in all this enthusiasm here? Am I feeling like I'm captivated? So you can see that people who care about message credibility are the owls. People who care about personal credibility are the eagles. People who care about the emotional connection are the budgies, and people who care about the charm and charisma are the peacocks. So if somebody walks into our facility, and you may well answer this for us, but if somebody walks in, and we can't see their feathers, how do we identify what they are as quickly as possible? Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think the answer is, rather than try and adapt in that moment to what it is the person. So there's two types of persuasion. If you want to look at it like this might be helpful. There's sort of conscious and unconscious persuasion. So conscious persuasion is when you have a persuasive moment. You are a memberships officer. You are trying to persuade a person to sign up to your gym. That is a persuasion moment. Someone contacts PJ, they're thinking about maybe signing up for that platform, and his job is to convince them to do that. That's a persuasive moment. Then there are unconscious persuasion moments where you're just going through life, and without even realizing it, the way you walked through that gym was a moment where you didn't think you were persuading. You were just walking from one place in the gym to another. But in that moment, you persuaded 3 or 4 people. I go to Fitness First in Sydney, and because of COVID, we have this stupid rule at the moment. Did I just say that out loud? It's a stupid rule that they put a lock around the spin room doors at my gym, and Fitness First Platinum Balgala. They put this silly lock around the spin room gym doors so that people like me who are trying to get an extra 150 calories in a workout can't go in and get on the bike early. And I've been a member of that gym since it opened. I've been doing that for 7 years or something, 5 times a week. I've been going into the gym 45 minutes early and just trying to get up a few extra calories and be warm before the class started. Now I can't do it. Yesterday, there was a guy who was the manager of the gym, I think, and he was taking a person on a recce through the gym to try and kind of sign the person up. And he walked past all of the members without even acknowledging us. Oh, yep. We were standing outside the spin room because there's a lock on the door waiting to go in. He didn't say hello to any of us. Now, if that potential customer was a budgie, I don't know what they would have thought about that. Wasn't fantastic. Then I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And he sort of looked at me, and he didn't really greet me, but he said hi. And then I said, would you, seeing as you've got the key to the room, would you unlock the door and would you let us in? And he said, are you waiting for the spin class? And we all said, yes. There's quite a few of us out there. And he goes, oh, no, I'm sorry, I can't let you into the spin room. I said, oh, you know, the class is starting in 10 minutes. You can't let us in 10 minutes early. He said, no, I'm sorry, I can't let you in until the instructor's here. So I get it that that's a rule. I don't want to hear from every Fitness First person that that's a rule, because I know it's a rule. To me, it's a silly rule as a member. But all I'm saying, the reason I'm giving this example is because not only does it annoy me about my gym, and if it annoys me to the point where I quit my membership, that's a problem for Fitness First. It also wasn't fantastic to carry on with that display in front of a potential new member, you know?
Would he be an owl?
Because I think so. He's either an authority or an owl. He's definitely not a budgie or a peacock.
You know, he was just trying to blend in.
Yeah, that's right. And so the point really is you can try and guess if you want and see how that goes. But when I said develop your persuasive muscle earlier, I'm really serious about that, trying to work out what do you do for owls, what do you do for eagles and budgies and peacocks, and make sure you develop a strength across all 4 approaches, so that even when you're not thinking about it, you naturally do what is required to extend your persuasive reach. Just like that dermatologist, I'm sure he doesn't consciously think, I have to be nice to Michelle because Michelle's going to tell this husband that he should proceed with the operation. He just knows he needs to be a nice guy if he's going to run a successful business. And so he does everything he can in his power to do that. So yes, so I think the answer to your question is you could try and pick it if you wanted. Certainly with your family and friends, it'll be easier to know that about, or your boss or your colleagues, it might be easier to know that. But better just to try and do as much as you can to be persuasive in all 4 approaches all the time.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that actually, by the way, that answer for me minimizes the feeling of manipulation. Like it's more organic, it's more authentic as you try to, go spend that time with that prospect or that member. Yeah, I like that.
Just be a good person, right, JT? I mean, you know this.
Yep.
You teach this in all your sessions you run with businesses. I know this about you. Be a good person. Know your data. Become personally credible. Be a nice person and learn how to present the message in a persuasive, captivating way. You know, I've been a presentation skills expert since I've been teaching my 2-day masterclass that you came to 100 years ago. We're getting very old. I've been teaching that since 1997. I mean, a long, long time. And that's what that whole course is about, is how do you use good data? How do you show you're credible as an authority in the matter? How do you build rapport with people and have them like you when you're presenting? And then how do you also persuade in a sort of a passionate, captivating way? You need to be doing all of that in presentation skills, on webinars and things like this all the time. We need to be doing all of it.
And does everyone have the same need to persuade?
Yes, so that's the other thing that the Persuasion Smart Profile assesses. It assesses your drive to be persuasive. We call it your predisposition to persuade. And in short, the answer is no. Not all people have a high predisposition to persuade. I'll call it, another way to look at it is like your care factor. How driven are you to change someone's mind? I'm sure you've all got a friend, if you've ever had a dinner party, you've all got that friend who's at the dinner party and they talk over the top of everyone and they're the life of the party and they've got a very noisy voice and they're very peacock-like and they say things at the dinner party to people like, no, 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 no. What you've got to understand is this. No, you're wrong. It's not that, it's this. Now, that person has a very, very high predisposition to persuade, but you can hear in my story that they're not actually as persuasive as they think they are, because often with that friend, we all laugh at that person and go, oh, that's just fluffy. She's hilarious. She's so noisy. She's silly. We don't believe what they say. And then my husband, Ian, is a perfect example of the wise owl who's sitting at the dinner table, a very, very low drive to persuade. He has a very, very low care factor. He honestly believes that if you don't want to know that, then you don't need to know that. He won't be persuading you at all. And at the dinner table, he doesn't talk much. He listens. He's a very good listener, actually. Ours are great listeners. And what he does is he waits. And then when he's got something really good to say, he speaks. And when he speaks, you could hear a pin drop. Everybody leans in. It's like the wizard is talking. And we often will be nodding our heads while he's talking, and we'll be agreeing with him. So he's not going to say much. He'll only say something useful. And when he says it, it's going to be amazing. It's going to blow your bananas. So your predisposition to persuade does not determine how persuasive you are. It just determines how driven you are. Now, if you're a memberships officer in a gym, you need a high predisposition to persuade, or that job would be very, very soul destroying. It would be hard for you.
Impossible.
Hard, really hard, stressful for you, hard for you. My husband was a financial planner for many, many years, and his job was to sell the idea of creating a financial plan for people. He was beautiful at creating the financial plan. He was amazing at putting together the best possible advice to help that person grow their wealth. He was terrible at convincing the person that they needed to proceed. He just is not driven to do that. So people like that are better placed in financial planning, in a job like a paraplanner, where they're doing the academic work behind the scenes, they're putting together the plan, and then somebody else is doing the selling.
So really, this new psychometric tool is paramount to help work out whether an applicant for a membership consultant's role is actually the right person for that job.
Yeah, I mean, you can grow your predisposition to persuade over time, but not by much. So if you are naturally not that driven to, it's really interesting. I've got a great friend who's a personal trainer. He's so buff. He looks amazing. Let me tell you, he's hot. Yeah. And he's clearly walks the talk, right? Yeah, it's you. He walks the talk. He looks great. He knows a lot of information about good eating, good weightlifting, good technique, protein supplements, blah, blah, blah. He knows all about the data. He's a credible expert in it. He's got zero peacock in him, and he's not that good at the budgie side of things. And he was a terrible fitness instructor. He was a terrible personal trainer because he couldn't get customers.
Right.
If he did sign up a customer, they loved him. They trusted him. They did everything he said, and they lost mega weight and got fit and amazing. But it was just impossible for him to convert them in the first place. Really low predisposition to persuade. We can make our lives much easier by not putting ourselves in a situation where we are just not the right fit. It's a square peg in a round hole. So I don't know that I would ethically say you should use it as an exclusion tool to choose or not choose someone for a job, but it certainly would be interesting for people to better know themselves in this way.
Yeah, great insight. I was wondering this. I was wondering if you could have a mixture.
Yeah. Do we have time?
Yeah.
So, yes, everyone has a mix. So it's would be very unusual for you to be only strong in one of the approaches. So this is a picture of what is a real life eagle owl. That's a thing. And eagles and owls do tend to go together. You can imagine that if you're an authority in the matter, you're probably also going to have some very good subject matter expertise. Your message would be credible. So it goes to follow that eagles and owls often do end up some sort of a combination. What's interesting is that in the Persuasion Smart profile, we would tell you which one was stronger of the two. And also then what is your third and fourth preference? So of the 4 types, what is your actual scale? What is your order? It graphically represents it on a scale for you. And yeah, you can see this is a peacock owl, which is highly irregular. You would never see such a thing. This is a photoshopped picture. You wouldn't get typically an owl with a peacock in. I mean, you might. It's not impossible, but it's less likely that those two would go together. Yeah. So that's what it is. I mean, we're all a different mix of everything, which again is why it's a bit risky to say, oh, well, that person's an owl, so I should do X, or that person's a budgie, so I should do X. It's probably a better approach to say, what do I do for all four types, and how can I build my persuasive muscle and do as many of these things as possible so that I meet the needs of all the types. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm not sure if it's your next slide or where this might fit in, but historically in our industry, we've always turned towards DISC or even Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
As a way to, but particularly DISC as a way to potentially shape how we would do a sales presentation to somebody, or how we might even determine what role they should have in our business. So how does all of this fit?
This psychometric assessment was researched by me and then created by a team of psychologists and statisticians in the UK. So this is a proper psychological assessment tool that has been rigorously tested by the authorities in this area. I wouldn't have a clue how to put together a psych test, so they've done that part of it. And ethically, it would be wrong for me to see the results. So I don't get the results. I don't see what people do. It's administered by the team of psychs in the UK. The results are stored anonymously and securely, and it's got really nothing to do with me now that I've sort of created I did the research, and I had two choices: turn this into a doctorate and become a doctor, or make it open source and put it online. And we decided to go down the online business pathway. In relation to DISC and Myers-Briggs, Myers-Briggs is a personality profiling tool and DISC is a behavioural preference tool. So Myers-Briggs talks to you about your personality traits, and that's what the Persuasion Smart Profile is. It's describing to you a list of traits that form an owl or a budgie or an eagle or a peacock. DISC is a behavioural preference profile, so it tells you the behaviours that you're likely to see in certain situations. Someone's like a people person and they're likely to be noisy and extroverted. Someone's more of a task-focused person and they just want you to hurry up and give the information quickly. So that's the D in DISC. So it kind of relates to, and they're all sort of similar things. The people who have tested this Persuasion Smart Profile say that it is as equally effective as DISC, because really the purpose of these things, when you just take it down to its nuts and bolts, is know yourself, know others, get strong in all four types, and then adapt your approach to meet the needs of your stakeholder. So if you do Myers-Briggs or DISC or the Persuasion Smart Profile, each of those things, given the context that you're doing it in, will be able to give you that awareness. You'll better know yourself, you'll better know others, you'll be able to develop some behavioural strength across the approaches, and then you'll be able to adapt your style. So yeah, I think it's similar to DISC, just a fraction of the price.
Sales pitch.
And the report is thorough, but DISC's been around for a very long time, and I think it's when you do DISC, you get that beautiful desktop published, graphically produced, amazing report. And our report is attractive, but it's to keep the prices down. We didn't fuss too much with that. So I actually think when you look at the difference, there's a bit more rigor in DISC than there is in mine, but I think a lot of the cost is because what it is. They've inflated the price. It's popular, so people, it's a market demand, so that's a bit more expensive. And also, I think you're paying for the graphic design in the report.
So let's just go back, because I love the four things you said. Know yourself.
Yep.
Know others. Adapt.
Build your
muscle.
Build your muscle across all four persuasive approaches.
And then be able to adapt.
Yeah.
Love that. And that's really the takeaway after this. Once you know what you've talked about, once you understand the characteristics of the four birds, work out where you fit, where others might fit, Build
Yeah.
your muscle and adapt. That's it.
Yeah.
Is that the takeaway?
Yeah, I think so. I think the main thing is that we just go through life and then we call it fate. So let's be masterful and mindful and clever about the way we go forth in our life. You cannot not influence. So if you're going to be doing it anyway, you may as well do it properly.
I like that point. If you're going to do it, you may as well do it properly. I love that. Michelle, as always, talking to you is fascinating, and I always learn stuff. I can't tell you how much I've learned today, but I've got a page full of notes here that I've been taking. I've really enjoyed today and loved it. If people wanted to find out more, work with you, obviously your website, what can you do to help like a small gym? What can you do with that gym?
Yeah, well, I've worked with quite a few gyms over the years to help people with their presentation skills, for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be great to assess the whole team and understand how persuasion smart we all are. I have an amazing workshop that once you've assessed yourself and you know whether you're an owl or an eagle or a budgie or a peacock, then what does that actually mean? What do we do now? So for many, many years, I've been teaching the presentation skills program, and it's a 2-day course that you can do publicly, or I can bring it into your gym. And what we do is we relate all of the content in best practice presenting to the 4 birds. So you can understand why you should build rapport in the first 5 linguistic patterns of a presentation. You know, why should you tell a story? And if you're going to tell a story, do you tell a story for authority because you've got eagle, or do you tell a story for the captivating performance value of it, for the entertainment value? So that would be for a peacock. When you're doing an icebreaker, do you do the icebreaker with facts and data in it for the owls? Do you do it where it establishes your credibility? Do you do it in a way that builds rapport, makes people feel good? Or do you do it in a flashy, amazing way? Or do you need to do all 4 of those things in your icebreaker, which is the first step of a really good presentation? So yeah, I can just adapt all of this content to whatever is the context in your business and what do you all need to be better at.
And in this crazy ass world that we now live in, can you do any of that via Zoom? Or
yeah, all via Zoom. So here we are, look at us. Yeah, I'm very lucky in Sydney. I stayed working live all year last year. We had minimal lockdowns that prevented us from running the 2-day masterclass live. And so I can't do the big, huge groups at the moment live, but my masterclass only has 10 people in it. So we've been able to run those as public workshops. We're running another one in March live in Sydney, and then everything else happens on Zoom.
And for those that are watching, I've done the presentation workshop that Michelle speaks of many years ago, the one that she started, I think you said in 1997.
Yeah.
That has probably been changed and adapted numerous times, and it is exceptional. So I would highly recommend going to michellebowden.com.au to find out about that, whether you are in the UK, the US, or somewhere in our great country of Australia.
Thank you. I just ran it for the 899th time for a bank this week.
Oh my gosh, 899 times. Thank you. You're awesome. And
Thank you. You're awesome.
That was really great. Thank you so much. If people want to chat with you, michellebowden.com.au, any other ways you want them to connect with you?
I'm very happy for people to send me a private email, michelle@michellebowden.com.au. Definitely.
We'll put all those details in whatever we put together after this. I don't know what that looks like. That's above my pay grade. We'll make sure all that information is there.
Maybe also LinkedIn, JT, LinkedIn or Facebook. So I'll send you over all the links so we can connect with everyone.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. It's been fascinating. As well as you launched our series. Now, next month, the webinar series obviously continues. Next month, we have Michael Griffiths joining us. And Michael is going to be sharing on building your $1 million referral system. Now, this is on Friday, the 19th of March, and you can register at activemgmt www.rex webinars. And we also have a US webinar, which is in March, on March the 4th, with Mark Schaefer, who authored the book Marketing Rebellion. That's on March the 4th. You can register for that at that same website, activemanagement.com.au/Rex webinars. And as I have known Michelle for many years, let me give you the last word. Over to you to say goodbye, Michelle.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, JT. What a great pleasure this has been. Go forth. Happy persuading.
Thanks, Michelle.